everyone, and welcome to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color. I'm Jed Toffer. Thanks for listening. You know, my wife Vicki and I have owned and operated our photography studio, V Gallery, for 20 years now. White House has been our lab for the last 16 of those years, and we could not be happier. White House is a family-run business, just like ours. If you haven't already, check them out at whcc.com. And if you want to drop me a line, feel free to email me at jed@whcc.com. Just when you think you've heard about everything, somebody comes along and presents some things you've never heard, or at least never heard presented that way. Craig Stidham is a veteran photographer that knows his way around a camera and a sales room. He's a big proponent of selling himself, and he's implemented some really clever concepts to make that happen. Get ready to learn from someone who's been around the block a couple times and still evolving every year. Start out telling me who you are.
So I'm Craig Stidham. I'm from Texas. I've been a photographer for way over 20 years. Started way back in the film days, obviously. I have an MFA. Man, I don't know. I hate floating my own boat. Interned with a fashion photographer, learned how to do lighting, tweaking, polishing, that kind of stuff. My first film camera was a Nikon F3. Never owned a 35mm after that. Ended up going Hasselblad ELX, INR P2s, and Deerdorf 810. Commercial work just all uses view cameras and Hasselblads. And then digital came out, and art directors got really cranky. They wanted their work ASAP.
Yeah.
And so I was forced to go digital. Ended up getting a Nikon digital camera. Then ended up getting a Phase 1 camera. The autofocus was crap, so I ended up going back to Nikon. And now looking into getting the new Phase 1 XF 150 bodies.
That's where you want to go.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm in talking with Phase 1, and I'm sponsored by Capture One. Yeah. So, I run their software. It's the most amazing software on the planet. But so I've done a pretty good job. So now, I'm talking with them about, hey, large discount would be nice.
Right. Right.
So they said they've improved their autofocus. So back to medium format.
Well, by now they should have.
Yeah. It was based on the Mamiya system, the Mamiya 645, so the autofocus is just too slow for. But now that Nikon has incorporated the high pass or the no pass filter on their stuff, you kind of get that. The 850 has that medium format look. Definitely the resolution. I don't know. It's all personal preference and manliness. Bigger the camera, the better. I guess it's like Cobra jets.
What do you specialize in?
Commercial fashion is where I earn my bread and butter. So commercial work is where I'm at. I do like to see seniors. Most everybody sees the senior stuff, but that's just because where I live is in the Bible Belt, and I can't post, commercial fashion work on a bunch of other normal everyday websites. Just you're under contract until the campaign releases. So, you could shoot a job 6 months later, you'd start showing images on it, Anyway, so I actually carry around 2 different portfolio books. I actually have a commercial high-end book that is in print. I think print is becoming a lost art. It's nice to see your work big, Yeah. So my personal portfolio is 16 by 20. Right. Just because it's nice, it's big, you get to see the detail. Retouching's become such a massive factor that if you have a 16 by 20, it will show the quality of the retouching. So
it's an interesting limitation that I don't think a lot of people think about sometimes. When you just said it's nice to see your work big, and in order to do that, for the most part, you need to print. I mean, you're not carrying around. I mean, a 12.9-inch iPad, right, is considered big regarding screens. Right. If you're gonna take them around.
I did that too. I actually carried my portfolio on an iPad, and at first, art directors were like, "Ooh, interesting," but if you wanted to go to that extra step and massively lock in their attention and get them to slow down and not just troll your portfolio. You've got your whole life, and they're less than a millisecond. They're like, no.
Right.
And so you want them to troll that and really get to know you and see the quality that you're producing. Yeah, print is the way to go. I mean,
also to see it in print, if the final product that you're going to give them is going to be printed,
Right.
is important as well, I would
Well,
imagine.
you know, in the end result, they will do it. So no matter what it is, it's, I mean, if it gets published, magazine, airport, internet, I mean, you know, down the road somewhere, it's going to be printed.
It's going to get printed, right?
Yeah. I also recommend totally producing your work on the media that is the end result, you know? So, you know, if you're doing a black and white campaign, print it on like a fine art paper so it still looks like a magazine spread or a tear sheet, you know? If you're going to do a regular image, you know, print it on glossy paper. Not a lot of people are in, I don't know, in my world, there's not a lot of people that go, you know, ooh, Matt, they like to see that color, you know? So, you know, I always print like on gloss or metallic paper. Metallic for me is the best. I really enjoy that metallic
Because it pops
paper.
so much?
Yeah, the color saturation. I mean, it's just a bit more accurate, you know? It takes a little bit of
people say, ooh, Matt, that's
yeah,
hilarious.
it's like, you know.
Ooh, Matt.
Yeah. So I do that. You know, if you're going to print something black and white, like Bryida, the Hammer Meal Bryida 320 or what is it, 325 gram rag paper, freakishly amazing. You know, just print your media so it represents what the final print would be. You know.
Now we were talking yesterday,
Okay.
and you were saying something that caught my attention that I was hoping you would talk about today, and it's essentially. You were talking about selling yourself.
Yes. So, you know, when you talk with other photographers and, you know, everybody wants to know, like, what are your packages? And we're talking about portrait work, not commercial fashion work. Okay. So we'll just talk about, like, you know, seniors, families, that kind of crap. Okay. So when you have your list and you're presenting them, you know, a lot of people do, you know, a whole bunch of products, medals, print, albums, you know, mix and match, all of that. And, you know, you think about it and you break something down to the most stupidest, simple, like hydrogen. That's it. It's just one molecule. Like it doesn't get any smaller than that, you know?
Right.
You know, it doesn't get any smaller than that. It's so basic.
Right.
Okay. So when you break it down, then, you know, photographers are marketing, hunting, getting a single client, taking that, shooting it, selling it, and then that client goes away, and then they start that process over for the next client. And everybody knows that if you shoot a client one time, you get good stuff. But if you shoot that same client again, you get better stuff. So if you shoot that client again, you get even more interesting stuff. So the more you shoot them, the more they get comfortable with you, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that process led me into, holy crap, did you understand? Like, I'm the photographer and I'm not selling myself. Like, yourself should be the number one selling item on your price list. Anytime you photograph, like, let's just use a senior for example, you know, and you're in the sales presentation and they're looking at their first round of images and you're like, hey, that was a lot of fun. They were like, yeah. Oh, you want to do it again? Yeah. And so you sell yourself, you sell another session. I mean, why not? You are the product, you know, make yourself a product and sell yourself. And so
during the sales appointment,
yes,
you offer you try to book another session.
Yeah, try to book another session. I mean, because your session is a product. I mean, think about it. When they call you and say, hey, I would like to book.
Right.
They booked you. You were the product.
Right.
And then prints and other, you know, media forms after that are like what we considered sub-products.
Right.
So always hit that root level, sell yourself, you know. And there's a lot of people that do like, again, just strictly talking like portraits or seniors, you know. If you know, the big parachute dress was a big concept back in the day. You know, crazy makeup is a big concept. Glitter beauty work was a concept. You know, dance. I saw some stuff on. We're at a local conference, and I saw some stuff in a group. You know, people were doing dancers. You know, and so, you know, if you get a senior in, instead of trying to shoot like casual clothes, prom dress, something nice, you know, kind of just stay with casual clothes. And then the mom says something like, you know, hey, she's a dancer. Okay, well, if you shoot everything, you could sell another session and then just strictly concentrate on dance images so that you have the time and you're only focused on one thing that you can, pull the absolute best out of that particular item.
So as opposed to incorporating a dance outfit, say, into one of their outfits that they're coming in for their senior pictures.
Right.
You're talking about kind of extracting that piece out and making it its own experience, its own session.
Yeah, because then you could slow down and create a massive art piece out of that image, because you're not worried about, I got to go to this location, I got to go to that location, I got to go to this studio.
It doesn't get mixed up with all the rest of the stuff.
It's not a rush. You're not rushing through it. You have one entire session, no matter whatever hours you want to put into it, and you're literally focusing on one thing.
So that's a great way that you can use to essentially sell it to them, or pitch it to them.
Yeah. Right. So then they buy another session. You might, incorporate like one big wall print. So you're going to have to package it up and make it yourself. But so for me, mine would incorporate like, it's a special session. So you sell yourself, and then that includes the shoot, and we're only concentrating on one outfit. So you only need one print, and then, wall prints are amazing. So if you're going to spend all that time and create something beautiful, obviously you want it to be displayed large. So you're forcing that client to, buy one wall print. So, we do something like the session in a 1620, and then, if they want to upgrade, then they see the small, amount. So for instance, let's just say you sell a 16, I'm using round arbitrary numbers so people don't get mad at us, but let's just say you sell a 1620 for like $100. Well, then if you want to do 20 by 24, you would only say like upgrade for $30, upgrade for $40,
So they're looking at the $30 or $40.
Yes, exactly. They're looking at the smaller numbers, not the big like $230, $330.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that money's already spent.
Correct. And it's done, and it's just, these little tidbits of stuff is just a good, way to just keep that customer coming back. And, like you said, money spent. So, if they drop a chunk of change for the session and the originals, then they just turn around and dropped another chunk of change for an extra session, another deal. And, it never happens that they always have to get like retouching done, and then they end up buying extra little things, and in my case, I sell portfolio books. And so the dance scenario that we were using so that they would get that dance session and then that one wall print, that parent, you always want to say, it'd be really cool. You could order like 11 by 14 to put in your portfolio book. So then you have one on the wall, one in your book. Right. And they're like, oh yeah, we got room. Let's add it in our book. And so anyway. So
you're the session that the next session that you're booking is part of the session fee, or maybe the package or whatever you're selling them, or a piece of that is part of that sale too.
Right.
Because you're collecting the money for that next session.
Right. Yeah. When you went on original session, you write down like so many wall prints, so many 8x10s, all the retouching included.
The next session is a line item in that
And the next session is a line item, exactly. Right. So they bought a session in the original ordering process. So then you total that, you get grand total, and then they come back in a couple weeks and you start over. And guess what? Now you have session print, a couple add-on prints, and you might even sell yourself again if you have a cool concept.
I think it's crazy that all these years I've never heard it put this way, or really thought about it this way, where this another session is essentially a product that they can order in a sale, and it's something that you funnel them into to add it just as another line item to that sale. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was an epiphany for me. Trust me, I've been doing it a long time, and it dawned on me one day, like they call you, from your marketing or whatever, and they want your product.
Right.
So then it's like, holy crap, I am the product. Right. So I was like, you're thinking to yourself, I've never sold myself again.
Right.
So now I push. I'll usually, on a good note, you might get an original session, sold a session, and then a third one.
Right.
Rarely, you have to have something original, something cool,
Well, that's why I like the way that you extract the one piece. So instead of like the dancing thing, I think is a great example, because if somebody's really into dance, it would make a lot of sense that they would want an experience focused on that.
Right.
Also, like in addition to their senior session.
And part of this happened kind of back a ways. Good friend Joel Grimes, amazing photographer, master, Joel, yeah, Joel's a great human being. So, but when Joel came out with teaching on, publicly teaching how he was doing the HDR sports, that was the biggest pool session, because it takes, a special, you have to do it on a white background. I was doing it on a gray background. That's for me personally, I found that to work pretty good. But then you would go in the studio, do grungy, eye black, glycerin, sweat, all that, get that stuff done in the studio. But then on your spare time, you had to go out and HDR the location you were going to composite that to. And then, so there was a lot of steps in there, and you couldn't you could do that, but if you extracted it out, you made more money.
Right.
So that was the first awakening of the process.
Right.
I did that for just a little bit, just like everybody else did. Joel's amazing. And to me, as an artist, I got to thinking, okay, Joel's concept is amazing. That's his. Okay, I mastered that a little bit, but it never belonged to me in the first place, so I never felt right continuing to do it. So that just dropped off, and that's just respect from one artist to another artist. That's Joel's thing. Let Joel do it. Just kick back and admire it. So I don't do the HDR sports composites and stuff like that anymore. It's not that it's not being called for. To me, it's I'm stepping on his toes, and that's, again, comes down to a respect thing.
You're just focusing on your own style and your own look.
My own style, my own work. I don't want to be somebody else's style and work.
I get it.
So you have to be your own artist.
Sure.
But anyway, so that's a product.
Stepping back from all of it, because you mentioned that you've been doing this for a while.
Okay.
And I find it interesting when I get to talk to somebody that's been doing it for a while. What have the challenges looked like for you in the last 20-some years? What are the hard times look like? What do the rough spots look like for you? Because you've kind of been there and done that, right?
Right.
You've kind of been around the block, so to speak.
Okay, so are we talking about how do we personally make our stuff up? Okay, so something that I do you have to be self-critical of yourself. And let's just take 2018, for example, okay?
All right.
So
fairly recent.
I know we'll get to back, but this is just, it comes to me, okay? So in 2017, every time I did a photo shoot, whether it be commercial, fashion, senior, I don't ever shoot families. Or, usually I laugh. I'm if you're shorter than this, I don't take your picture. But case in point, over all the genres, over all the stuff, anytime I was working on an image and I was like, dude, that's a cool image, I would always send off and get a 5x7 made, at least a 5x7. And I just kind of kept that in a little cheap 5x7 plastic sheet holder.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, during January or December, January, when it's snowy, icy, cold, and you're a little bit on the slow side, that's a good time to self-reflect. Well, as I was looking through my 2017 stuff, I realized that amongst all my other friends that are out there, and then just what you see from amazing professional retouchers, that my skin was lacking. People might say, "Oh, you have good work." Well, for me, being critical of myself, the challenge was to work on skin.
Okay.
So 2018 has been my year of solely concentrating on how do I improve my skin. And it doesn't come down to lighting and photography. It comes down to, are you in there fine tuning the color corrections? When you get into retouching, I do it all by hand. I don't do anything automated. So
you do it yourself?
I do it myself. On the good stuff, if I need to send stuff out, trust me, I outlab it to professional retouchers. It's, that's something too that, we'll get into that topic in just a second.
Okay.
But I was working on skin, so like how do you, it's not necessarily like how do you light it and shoot it, it's how do you clean it and retouch it so that it's exactly realistic, you know. We do get, you know, models. I've had art directors go, I like your work, and it's because they've got the texture, you know, they're like, oh, that skin is dewy and glowy, and you know, it's not like wax.
So how do you retouch without it looking retouched?
A lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good stuff out there. Right now, the new big hot thing is like frequency separation.
I know it.
Yeah, doing different versions of it. Frequency separation is kind of like grandmother's brownies. There's a million recipes on how to make it work. You have to find what looks best for you.
Right.
What your style
It's like
looks
Photoshop
best.
in general, really.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat.
Right.
You know, so, you know, that works. But again, the self-reflection for me has always been something I've always done. You know, one year for me during, like you said, when we were back in film, you know, you could take, you know, like say T-Max 100, and the Kodak Bible said to develop in T-Max developer. You know, so it'd be something like 68 degrees, 10.5 minutes.
Right.
You know, and a lot of us would think, you know, okay, well, T-Max film and T-Max developer was too contrasty, so we would use like D76. Well, then it was like D76 straight, 68 degrees, 13 minutes. But then you could go, well, let's do like D76 1:1, you know, and you kind of soften up that film a little bit. And so, you know, with the father of black and white, Mr. Ansel Adams himself, you know, there were so many recipes, concoctions, dilutions, and you kind of, you know, got to get in there and you created with your hands.
Yeah.
You know, and in digital just didn't really ever make a great black and white. And so now, as far as like the hard times, you know, it's come a long ways. I think I like my black and whites. I think they look really good, you know. But, you know, we've all had to kind of find a way to make Photoshop and digital and technology and resolution and all that stuff, and then printing also. You know, for instance, if you have a black and white and you send it to a lab in general and you get like a glossy or a matte, it always has a color base to it. But if you get a fine art print and it's off of like a Canon 2400 printer and you have a fine art paper, you can print strictly with black and grays and that ink, and that looks a bit more like Oriental Seagull fiber-based paper from back in the day, you know. So that's just kind of where it works. As far as the hard times and such, you know, every Christmas we get a new crop of photographers, you know.
Okay.
Every summer that, you know, there's a crop that gets harvested and cut and they lose, you know. There's a lot of, you know, self-learning, self-taught YouTube photographers. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there. I personally say limit your YouTube-ness, you know.
Or at the very least, be careful.
Yeah, I mean, there are right ways and wrong ways to do things, you know. It's up to you, and if you're successful, you know, albeit go with it, you know, but...
Well, the tough part is that with something like YouTube, you have a platform that's so immense that there's plenty of people saying this is the right way, when in fact, it is not.
Correct. That's my point.
And you generally find out the hard way.
Yeah, so the best education for stuff like that is, you know, if you like someone's style, pick up the phone and call them, you know? I mean, conferences where they're speaking or, you know, go get your hands
Seek them
dirty.
out.
Yeah, you know, I mean... trial and error for one thing. I find a lot of new photographers are afraid to fail. Well, if you don't fail, if you can't screw it up, then you don't learn. You don't get to go forward, you know?
I just talked to somebody about that.
Yeah.
They said the exact same thing.
Right.
Why do you think they're afraid to fail?
Well, because they're, you know, right now, like everybody, and you hear this term being sloshed around like this is a no judgment zone.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Hello, it's artwork. It's a judgment zone. I mean, you know, and if you post your stuff on social media, then all your friends are like, you're beautiful, you're the best, this is the greatest part, and you got 3 tangents in your artwork, you know? Why don't we have a professionals deal where we could all like throw it in there, put on your alligator skin, your ice cream, and your Wooby, and say, all right, this is my image. And then, you know, I would have loved back in the day to do black and white, and then Ansel Adams be on social media and be like, boy, you screwed it up. There's no detail in the blacks.
Right.
You know?
And tell me why. So then I can
fix it. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, don't take mass criticism and, you know, get all butthurt, you know?
Right.
And so learn.
Right.
Open-minded, you know? I mean, that's where art school and that's where college was. I mean, literally, I had a teacher that would stand outside the classroom, like she didn't know your work anyway, and you would walk in, push pin your images on the wall, and then she would take roll outside. When she came in, she would like put her hands behind her back and it was like focused, you know? And she'd look at your image. If your image was like a C, she literally took it off the ground and threw it on the floor. If it was a D, she stepped on it on her way to the next image.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and if you were like, well, why did you step on my image? You failed. You didn't even get the option to reshoot.
Okay.
So if your image was on the ground, you shut up. After class, she kind of walk you through it, and you maybe got an opportunity to redo it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So.
Well, that's one way to do it.
You have to grab. You put on the alligator skin. Grab your Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
I do think that it's extreme. That good critique can be super helpful.
Oh yeah.
And if you're not seeking that out, then you're missing out. Right.
I taught at the college. I taught photography at the college for a little over 8 years, and one of the students had come in, and every time we were going to do, like, you had to turn in your images, and we were going to talk about them, a critique, basically. She would always come in, and you would hear things around the hallways, like, okay, we got self-defense in an hour. You know, because it was kind of harsh, but, you know, everybody learns from that.
What have your victories looked like in the last 20-some years? Like, as you look back, like, what are you proud of? What are you excited about? What fired you up? What do you look back and think to yourself, yep, I nailed it. That was awesome. That was an amazing achievement, sort of thing. So this is you tooting your own horn a little bit. I'm giving you permission.
I don't usually toot my own horn.
I know. I'm asking you to do it. I'm asking you to.
Well, if you shoot something and it's massively successful, and I got in one time with an art director, and you know, another photographer like legitimately had the flu, and I didn't even know I was on the backup list, and then I got this call. She treated me like I was their first call. Yeah. And years later, she was just like, you're like a second call.
She told you later.
Yeah. Because we became friends, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I ended up shooting a job, and, you know, this particular art director was basically like, wow, you super exceeded our expectations.
Right.
And now we want to throw you this other big job. And it happened to be like one of the Caribbean jobs. So, you know, they hand you a FedEx deal with an airline ticket, and you get a crew, and you spend weeks out there shooting, you know, fabrics, textures, and that kind of stuff.
Sounds like a good gig.
Yeah. So anytime that you leave your studio and somebody pays you to go, that's an achievement.
Especially to a place like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I'm in Texas, right? I mean, I live in Texas. Well, I live in Texas, and there is a crap ton of good photographers, but I just got back working for the NFL Hall of Fame. Yeah. So if you're working for the Hall of Fame, dang, you know,
pretty good.
It's pretty good. You know, I put in my dues.
Right.
Something that I started way back in the day that I continue to do now is if you're going to shoot, you know, anything, then shoot it. And then when you're in your brain, when you go, okay, I've got my shot, take an extra few minutes and figure out how in the hell can I screw that up? You know, can I stand on something and change my perspective?
Interesting.
Can I overexpose it? Can I underexpose it?
Right.
You know, change a lens, create a different angle. I mean, worst case scenario is you go, yeah, that didn't work, and you throw away the digital files, you know? But in the positive remarks to that, you could get back on your, you know, your machine when you get home and just be like, whoa.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
Right,
like,
right. Happy accidents, maybe.
Yeah, you know? And then those happy accidents become habit.
Right. They're not accidents anymore.
Exactly. So this is really, in my camera bag, I usually end up carrying like a little spiral notebook. And if you go through certain lighting situations, then, you know, let's just say Rembrandt, for instance, then you know your main light is 45 by 45. You get a triangle, you know? So if you take that, you shoot it, you get your shot, and then you're like, okay, let's screw this up. And so you take this big butterfly, you throw it in there, you got this diffuse light, you got an umbrella coming from the side, so you got split lighting, and then you're like, I'm going to throw this red gel on here for whatever reason, and you just throw it on there, and you just created this modge of, you know, light.
Right.
And you know, you click, and you look at the Mac, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
Get the notebook out and legitimately write down what you just did so that later you can come back and experiment and play. Not play with a client.
It's like keeping track of a recipe, though. To some degree, right?
You know, I mean...
My wife loves to cook, and she makes great stuff. And sometimes it's better than others. And I'm like, this was really good.
Yeah.
What did you do? And she's like, I don't know. I just threw the... And I'm like, but you didn't keep track of it, so how are you going to...
recreate it. Yeah, I learned to cook from my mother. I know we're kind of getting off subject, but my mom, I would call my mom because I went to college and I haven't been home. So I left at like 18 and I'm like now 40 something and I've never gone back home. But
if you don't keep track of what you did,
right,
you're not going to be able to repeat it reliably later on.
Or at least set it back up to experiment with it and kind of
keep going.
Yeah, maybe enhance that a bit more, you know?
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but that's that's where my mind went. Of course, it went to food.
Yeah, food.
But yeah, I think it's important to. I like the fact that you keep a notebook right there so that you can write it down and be like, well, this is what I did. This is how this was set up, so that later on you can either continue that experiment or recreate it for a look that you know that you want.
Yes.
In a different scenario.
I actually have a really nice big book. I had one from all the lighting diagrams and such from college to today. Unfortunately, I did have somebody come to our studio and discount five-finger lift my...
Really?
Yes. Totally took my notebook.
Oh, jeez.
So I had a whole group of friends buy me this really cool leather notebook and everything. And I've restarted with... You know, I was really depressed about it, and I was like, I'm not writing down anymore. And I was like, no, I can't do it. So I started rewriting down a bunch of lighting diagrams and stuff. But you know what I found? I flipped it to the back of the page, and I started writing down, like, Photoshop toning things. So I started writing down, like, the new stuff, like digital and lighting at the same time.
Same type of concept, though.
Yeah, you know, if you know, I use Capture One Pro because it's amazing. And if you, like, you know... in the color balance area, if I go, I'm going to do this and do that and do this, and then, you know, you get this cool toning effect.
Yep.
You know, I know you could like save user profile, but then you have a ton of them.
Or an action in Photoshop, right?
Yeah. So anyway, everything I do, it might be the long way, but it's my way. And when it comes to retouching, I like to drink coffee in the mornings and retouch. It's relaxing. And that's just me. That's mine.
What does selling yourself look like in the next 3 years, 5 years, and beyond for you in your business?
That's really good. That's a pretty good question because right now I'm at a crossroads, and I think I finally have like taken the left turn. And
really?
I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm happier. So I think my left turn decision, you know, here in the last 2 years has been really good, and I'm gonna put it all out on the plank and see what happens. And if I fail and I like start to go broke, I can always revert because I haven't left the path too far.
So does it look like taking a risk to you?
I think so. You know, so what I like to do is in the off season, I like to shoot seniors. Why? Because seniors are tall and they're not kids, and there's plentiful, and it's just mad cash.
Right.
You know, like for instance, our seniors was able to take 8 people to Disney World this year. So
nice.
Yeah. You know, now the commercial work paid all the bills, but
sure.
You know, the senior work, we splurged and went to Disney and then went to Universal, and we had a good time this year. And my kids are about ready to leave the house. So I'm like, I need to kind of stay around for another year before I start just like totally taking out into the world.
Okay.
But anyway, so with the senior stuff, there's, like we were talking about, every year there's a new crop of photographers.
Yeah.
Everybody pops up, and, you know, then of course you have the shoot and burns, the I'll do it for freeze, the, you know, you have all that stuff. It's all out there. It's all head trash. You know, stop worrying about it so much. Just focus on your own artwork and your own stuff. People who appreciate that will come to you.
By head trash, you mean like we make it into something that it's not because we're afraid of it, or it freaks us out or frustrates us or whatever.
Yeah, you know, like, why are they all going to this person?
Right.
You know, well, take a look at yourself. Are they all going to that person because they have what everybody wants and your work's crap?
Right.
You know, or you know, whatever. It's just head trash. If, you know, you are your own own critic. So if you are completely happy and satisfied with the quality and the amount of work you do, then that's where you're at.
Right.
For me, my biggest battle isn't really getting clients. My biggest battle is my clients think my work's $10,000. And it's because it's different from other senior people, you know? And so you have to literally tell them, like, no, you can afford me, you know? But the impression is that it's bigger, you know?
Right.
But that's just me constantly growing, changing. I always say that my work is the evolution of change. I'm like, I do something and then move on. If you see, like, what's been real popular, I've seen amongst other senior photographers right now, is that they're going to like a public library and shooting in the library now. Okay. I'm like, that's been done 5 or 6 times. You can see that on Instagram. Stop doing it. Clap your hands, be like, that was awesome. Go find something different. Don't keep doing the same thing.
Do something else.
The parachute dress just aggravates the living hell out of me because you've seen it a billion times. I'm like, seriously? You want to continue doing that? Like, clap your hands. That was amazing. Go do something else, you know? So for me, it's, you have the, back to the whole, you market, you grab a client, you shoot that client, you turn them loose, and you go back again. It's a repetitive cycle, you know? So you that's your cycle. For me, I like to, you know, get a client, learn about that client, photograph that client, and then get to know them on a different level. Right. And so I also like it when, you know, like our very first session, if you want to call it that, or their time that they come to the studio, we don't even pick up a camera. They literally come in to learn how to pose, how to move, what to do, just to freaking get comfortable with a professional studio. Because, I mean, seriously, think about it. These kids, the only photos they've ever had done is at their school pictures. They automatically hate their school pictures. Okay? So then you get into a real working world. You have like a brawn color para 133 in their face. You have a reflector underneath. They're sitting on a deal with black foam boards on either side. And these people are like, oh, what's going on?
It's different.
It's very different, you know? And you're asking them to do things that they not normally do. So if you can actually teach and train them and get them comfortable with it, then there's no pressure.
So is that part of your consultation process, or is this after they have booked a session?
Well, they're going to book it. So this is the new way. This is just my new way. If it works, great.
I want to know your new way.
That's what I'm saying. I think I like it, so I'm going to keep on going with it, you know? And for me, if I get, say, this year I have 20 people doing this. And that's great.
It's a good number.
I'm happy with it, you know? Keep in mind, it's off season. It's not full 100% senior business. Okay. So it's like 20. I average, before this new process, I was averaging like 35, 40. And, you know, I'm kind of like, trying to keep up at the last minute. It's been a little bit. So for me to slow down makes me happy. Okay. So just throwing that out there. Okay. So for me, I like the idea of that senior, they're booking you. You've already taken their money. So then you tell them, hey, the first time you come in, let's just train. And so they get really comfortable. And then they come back again and they're already comfortable. They're like, hey, I'm ready to do this. They have an acknowledgement. You know, and that could be a couple of days. You could also kind of talk about, like, you know, where do you want to go? How do you want to do it? You're
building a rapport with them too.
So then you shoot again. And so my sessions is 1 year long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, total new concept here, okay? So that senior gets to do whatever shoots we do in a full year. So some get 6, some get 8, some get 10. It doesn't matter. But the whole concept is they come in and they got comfortable. By the time that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th shoot come along, you're starting to do different things, just like you would an agency model. So, for instance, you have your base stuff. Then you worked on spring stuff. Now you have winter stuff, you know. Now you have prom stuff. Now you have sports stuff.
That's a big package.
It's a huge package, but you're building a portfolio book in the end.
You really are.
Yes. So, you know, you think you do something and you get like 5 locations and you made an album. Well, if you look through that album, you're trolling. You're like, oh yeah, red dress, jeans, pair of shorts. That's the end of it, you know? And so, and it's all like in the same location, and over a time span, you can have all of these other little things going on. And so when that client walks in, you call them by name, like, hey, how's your boyfriend doing? What's going on? Hey, oh, I saw you at the football game the other night. That catch was amazing. And so now you have this massive personal level that you're on.
Right.
Well, the upside of this so far has been, like, back in the day when Facebook was original, you could tag somebody and get free marketing.
Yeah.
I'm working with that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're seeing all this work, and other parents are like, man, those images are awesome. Oh yeah, Craig's just doing this again. Oh yeah, this one, And so now that community, that voice marketing is 9 times more powerful.
Creates quite a buzz.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And so now I have like sophomores that are wanting to be in on that, because once if you're a junior, I'll take you because I've already booked my 20 seniors.
Right.
So now I'm working sophomore, juniors, and then I'm shooting seniors. So I'm working 2 up. So I've already have 20 this year, and I have 15 for next year. So I have a little bit of room to grow.
Is this like the top of the line package?
It's expensive. Yeah, it's expensive.
I mean, you do other stuff too. But
I do, yeah.
This is just
I don't know. See, I want to kind of calm down on that other stuff. I want to only just start with the 20 because, like I said, slowing down a little bit is good.
Right.
Right. And then towards the end of their big deal, like for instance, this year in September, we're going to Kona, Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take our group of people over a 3-week span, and we will be in Hawaii. And then in March, we have a group of people over a 2 weeks time frame in Hawaii.
Amazing.
And so we went to Hawaii last year, and it was amazing. And so we're going back this year. Next year, we're thinking like Turks and Caicos and Costa Rica.
Goodness.
So, we can plan this out. And when you do something like this also, in the summertime, the year before, right?
Yeah.
Then, so right now, all my juniors, my seniors, or my group of this year, my 20 this year are doing Hawaii. My 15, we're already planning on like Turks and Caicos or Costa Rica.
Right.
So those parents have buku time to stash cash.
Right. They know what's coming.
And they're already making prepayments.
Right.
And they're just like, this is amazing, So the end product, is legitimately just this massive, 20, 30 portfolio of location
Lots
work,
of
studio work,
stuff.
winter work, spring work, and a really cool trip, And so I don't know.
That sounds like an incredible way to sell yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's my thing. That's my brainchild right now. That's
awesome.
kind of where I'm headed.
It's great.
Yeah. I'm not too sure I need, we still got some time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about like success.
Okay.
How do you define success as a photographer?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it kind of boils down to in the end.
Yeah.
And so people say, wow, you're cutting back again. You're only doing 20. Well, if I do 20 and this project of mine works out, I'm successful.
Right.
Okay. I have friends that are out there, and they have to do like 100 seniors, every freaking school team photo. Like, they base their success on quantity,
Yes.
So that's how they define successful. Not all of us define successful as that. So if you want to find peace with yourself and peace with your business so that like, I'm doing good, define success. What is success for you? For me, success was, if you want to talk about an achievement for me was when clients called and they were like, hey, we'd like to book a session. I'm like, all right, I have Tuesday, 9:00 in the morning. Well, my kid's in school. Yeah, I know. Take them out. Let's do it.
Right. That's what's available.
That's what I got. You can't go to the physicians and, I mean, and everybody says that, but then there's all those people that are working Saturdays and Sundays and doing that kind of stuff,
So does success for you revolve around having time?
My success revolves around my family.
Right.
So I'm a working stiff just like everybody else in the world, And so success for me is I have an 8:00 call time. I will get up in the morning. I mean, my kid's got to be at school at 7:30, so you're up anyway, you know?
Right.
So I get to work, and whoever I have, senior model, whatever, they're in makeup 7:38.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you do the photo shoot or whatever you got going on today. And if I can shut down at 4:00 in the afternoon, so then, like after school band practice,
Right.
any of those other after school activities that my kids are doing.
Dinner.
Then, dinner at a normal everyday
With
time.
your family.
Yes. Yeah. And so then I'm home.
Right.
Now, everybody knows that if you're a self-business person, you work 24/7. But I shut down.
Right.
Well, I actually moved my workstation in my house to like the living room area. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of like I got my own like little TV tray.
Yeah.
And so where you would put like a lazy boy, I have a computer. So my wife can sit on the couch and I could kind of sit next to her, but I'm still kind of working.
Yeah.
And my wife loves to just chill out and watch those dumbass shows like American Idol or any of that crap. Like she loves that stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Her and a few hundred million other people.
And like The Voice, I'm just like, whatever, I could care less. And I'm just not a TV person to begin with, but I do like the connection.
Well, you're there.
I'm there. I'm in the same room. I'm doing my thing. It's kind of like a grown-up adult teenager, except for instead of being on my phone, I'm on a Mac.
Now, come on, every once in a while, someone's got to pull you away from your editing on one of those shows, and you have to watch. But
I don't get pulled away. I just kind of look over the top of the monitor and be like, yeah, that was cool.
And then go right back to it.
And then I'm just doing my thing.
Right,
so, I get to shut down. I get to have quality, time. And then, because our house is set up where the TV and everything's in a completely different room.
Right.
And so then I just do my thing. And so defining yourself for success for me was being able to say, okay, I'm going to shoot Monday through Thursday.
Yep.
Now I've switched it to Tuesday to Friday. And the reason why I did Tuesday to Friday is because of my Mondays I was getting stood up.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, oh, the weekend. Oh, crap, I forgot. I was supposed to be there. Yeah. So now Mondays are my computer days.
Sunday's the day of rest, and Monday's the day of recovery.
I'm Catholic. I don't touch a camera or a computer on a Sunday. If I can help it, I'm like, no,
Right.
Sundays, I love to smoke, barbecue. Obviously, I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
So, that's you fire up the smoker, you go to church, your fire's ready to go, your brisket's on there. It's like,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
dinner
it.
at 2 in the afternoon.
Sure.
Yeah. Totally,
for 5 hours.
Oh, yeah. Smoking some ribs for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yes. Your wife's like, my wife's like, dude, I ain't kissing you until you shower. You smell like smoke,
Yeah, I get that sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
It's manhood.
Lots of excuses.
Yeah. But, and so that's kind of, defining yourself as success. What is success to you? I see a ton of people, other photographers are like, I'm only making 100,000 or I'm only making 30,000. Well, what's success to you?
Right.
If you're, working at the studio from 7 and it's dark outside and all your employees left and you lock the doors and you're the one still out there working because stuff needs to get done.
Right.
If you love that life, I did it, when my daughter was born, my wife was like, I don't care what you do. Build a place, buy a place, rent a place, you're staying here. It was our very first child. We had an infant, and my wife, like I said, I married the hospital.
She wanted you around.
Yeah, somebody had to be around, even though we still put our kid in daycare and I still had some time, somebody had to go pick the child up from daycare and, do stuff. So, I thought about leaving the commercial world and I actually took a break from that for a while and kind of was like, I'll try the senior business thing out,
Yeah.
And for me, I defined successful as I had to be up there with all the other people, I had to do 100 seniors. And I started out small and worked my way up. And then I was like, oh, we're doing 75 seniors. Oh, we're doing 100 seniors. The minute I hit 120 seniors in a, time span, I was that person where, my 6 employees left.
And it was me,
and I was there until 11 o'clock. And then I was back up and coming back to the studio to finish more stuff. And I was like, this is not a good way to run my life.
20 sounds better than 120 to me.
Yeah. And so, it's just, you have to be at peace. And that's what I did is, actually I was at a conference, a Catholic conference, and they were talking about being successful and being at peace. And I believe that firmly, to me, back in the day, 40 seniors was good, you know, and I could shoot and do it in a timely manner. I wasn't really ever rushed to do something.
Yeah.
And then I moved on and, you know, I was making good money at it. I was paying my bills, and my family doesn't outlive their means.
Right.
Like, I still drive a 12-year-old truck because you can
Right.
throw light stands in the back and nobody cares.
You're not worried about it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, you know.
Right.
Now, we do have the date night car, but...
You have a date night car.
Yeah, we have the date night car.
What is it?
Currently, our date night car is a 66 VW Beetle, classic restored and everything like that. So,
awesome.
yes. I do, I'm looking to do like a 1988 Porsche 911.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I just love the design and the body and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I think that would be cool to have, and that would be the new date night car. But currently, the date night car is a little 66 Volkswagen
Is the
Beetle.
88 like really rounded?
It's the one with like the rounded headlights,
Right.
like the rounded fenders.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking
Like
of.
Matchbox was famous for making
I
that
know.
little Porsche.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you know, it's not like the new 911 turbo. You know, I don't know. To me, it has
Well,
to
it
have
doesn't
design.
cost
It's maybe it's an art thing.
$300,000.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
an art thing. You know,
Right.
it's got to have design and shape and
Right.
mood and that. You know, to me, like, you know, those older Carreras just had it, and I was
so
like,
great.
I want one. You
That's
know,
so great.
So
Where can
anyway.
people find you on the internet?
My website is just craigstidham.com. You know, just like everybody else's that's out there. I update it for, you know, less than frequent. But in reality, if you want to see what's going on, what's current, what and all that stuff, Instagram's the way to go. Again, it's just Craig Stidham, Instagram handle. Not on Facebook. I took the business off of Facebook a long time
You did?
ago. Yep, I did. I only keep Facebook around just because of the group chats and
Sure.
stuff like that. If you send me a friend request, I probably still have like 200 friend requests. I never go through them.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah.
I just honestly hate Facebook. I do, seriously. I mean, we're not friends. So I try to not use that product unless I have to.
Facebook is one of those friends that you haven't accepted their request yet.
Yeah. It's, you know, to throw out
On
that,
Facebook.
to throw that little political thing out there, it's kind
Yeah.
of like Nike. I'm just not, you know, I am wearing my flag shoes that are made by a different company. And, yeah, just not, I haven't done Nike in a long time.
I
so.
understand.
Yeah. So Facebook to me is kind of up in there too. So, and I know Facebook owns Instagram. You're like, hey, stupid.
Yeah.
Facebook owns
Well,
Instagram, but
You know.
I like Instagram. It's cool for me. So I'm on Instagram frequently. So new work, that kind of stuff's on Instagram.
Hey, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man. I had a good time.
I
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
you doing this.
Oh, it was a good time. I like chatting.
You got
So-
a big talk to get ready for tomorrow.
yes, we're doing studio lighting, posing.
Right.
Tips, tricks, hacks, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know. But now I'm probably going to get like 1 million hate mails or something. So please just be nice.
Just be nice to Craig.
Just be nice.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day.